Have you ever wondered what makes bodies tick? Are you creating the sexual reality you desire and require? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? What if your fantasies are not as strange as you thought they were? What if you could learn to be kinder to your body and kinder to others' bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Have you lost your mojo and wondered where to find it? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here is the host of The Pleasure Zone, Body Whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. Tonight, we have a very fun topic, and it was inspired by, I can't remember the name of the singer, but he had this song, and I will not sing it for you guys so that you guys will stay online with me. When I get that feeling, I'm on sexual healing. I'll say it.
Gay, baby. Come on.
Wow, bring it. And my guest tonight is Christel Crawford. And if you guys listen to A to Zen, you've probably heard a show in the last month or two with Christel on it. And Christel's is a favorite new guest.
I'm a radio
Marvin
show whore,
Gaye.
officially.
Yeah. That's what it is. Right. Exquisite queen whore of the radio. Woo! So we were talking, I don't know, Christel and I randomly Facebook chat and then randomly Skype each other. So we had some moments and it was like, let's do your show together. Okay. And it came up, and then this energy popped and I was looking at all of the different bars and what they represent and how I can incorporate that into my show. So the healing bar is where this show got inspired from. You would think it was body and sexuality, but it was actually the healing bar that inspired this one. And it was playing with what would the show like to be called. And then the show literally was tell Christel that if she'd like to come on, I'd like to have her. I was okay, show. And my show has that voice sometimes. Just let her know, if she would like that. So for those of you who have never listened to any other show other than mine, and I actually know there are some of you out there that are that, which is great. Thank you for listening. And then you haven't actually been introduced to Christel. And so Christel Crawford is a certified, we call them CFMWs, certified fucking miracle workers. And she's also a certified facilitator for Access Consciousness, has loads of life experience, loads of training in different modalities and different things that she's bringing to the table. And tonight we're actually going to talk about something for her, which she had actually created a class called The Kindness of Sex. So she's actually promoting this amazing, beautiful energy around the kindness of sex. And it was interesting because there's so much refusal to choose it on the planet that it was are people ready to actually receive that kind of level of kindness and healing for their body? And so I really wanted to talk a lot about what is a sexual healer? How do you know if you are a sexual healer? And are prostitutes sexual healers? How do we define where's the difference between prostitution and sexual healers? And a lot of people would like to know, if I am a sexual healer, do I have to be are people going to think I'm a prostitute? But there's actually a whole category of healing that you can do, and it is in a lot of places legal. So you can be very legitimate with your practice and not be, run down or taken down for it. So after that long spiel, hello, how are you, Christel?
Oh, great. How are you?
Good. So when I sent you that title for the show, what kind of came up in your world around that?
I just, for me, it was, wow, how do I put that into words? Just so much yes. As a sexual healer, and you asked 25 great questions in that little blurb, but when I first discovered I was a sexual healer was in an access class. My first access class, they really asked the question, truth, are you a sexual healer? And if you guys have never done an access class, when you go, the point is to be able to access your awareness. So like of what you know that you've never acknowledged that you know. So I got a yes to that question, and I think I got tears in my eyes after that, because it was the acknowledgement of something that I'd always been, but I had never acknowledged. And there's so much judgment in our world and for ourselves around sex. And, you know, for me, that like my whole life was just one big series of different forms of judgment. You know, it started out with religious judgment, and then it went into like judgment of myself as a teenager, and then judgment of myself ever having had sex, and then ever enjoying sex, and then having it outside of marriage, and then in marriage, you know, wanting it with other people. Like honestly, it was just every scenario that you could possibly judge yourself around with sex, I had pretty much created. And so the sexual healer piece of information for me was this big, it was this big space of freedom. Like, holy crap, that totally describes me. And then it also kind of left me in this like, well, now what do you do? Okay, cool. So I've acknowledged that I am that and that I do that, and that's cool. Now what, you know? And I actually remember asking Gary that. I asked him a series of questions about the sexual healer thing, and I think that's when you messaged me, that's why it stuck out, because it's been kind of a thing for me, and really the energy around which I created the kindness of sex. One of the things I asked him was like, you know, Gary, I said, what happens when two sexual healers get together? And he's like, and they choose consciousness? I said, yeah. He's like, phenomenons. Mm-hmm. And I've never forgotten that. I've just never forgotten that. I've continually looked at the energy that got brought up when you said that, and looked at how far it expanded out into the future, and combined that with like all of my different experiences in access classes and with people that are choosing consciousness and are choosing to be present with bodies and kind to bodies, and having experienced that for the first time in all these classes, I really wanted the rest of the world to have the knowledge of that, you know, like that there's something so much more possible with us and our bodies and sex and all of these things that we are so judgeable in this world, that really when you're willing to have no point of view and just get the gift that you are, can change somebody's whole world.
And yeah, so the no point of view is like, we talk about that a lot on this particular show. It's like, if, you know, so many scenarios, like if you didn't have a point of view, what would you choose? Like, what would your body choose, right? Mm-hmm. And that whole bit, I do actually remember hearing you on one of your calls, maybe something I was working on for you, maybe, talking about when the two sexual healers come together and they're conscious, and that leads to phenomenons. Can we talk about that a little bit more? So for some listeners, you know, I could hear their brains going, does that mean the best orgasm ever? Is anything going to come and it's going to, you know, create
Yes,
balls?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay, good. As long as we have the meaning and the definition of it, we can now have a conclusion of where it's going to go. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what is like phenomenon?
Isn't that what this show is all about?
It's all about conclusions. what is phenomenons for you? Like when you heard Gary say like there's phenomenons, what is that like for you? When I heard you say that, there was this like ease in my universe, and my body was like, thank you. Like it was such a like gratitude to acknowledge that there is that possibility, that phenomenon, and whatever that was for me. But like what is that for you?
The best way I know how to describe it is really by telling a story. And this is a recent story. I was actually just last night watching a maestro gathering that Dane recorded at the Rome 2-3. And for those of you who don't know, the maestro class is the access class right now with the highest amount of prerequisites. And this past year I went. And what Dane's been doing is at every event, he does a maestro gathering. So all the people that went to that class get together and just create something energetically, which sounds really weird, but it's really amazing. And one of the things that he did in this gathering was he went around, and I'm not sure exactly how it came up. It was relevant to what had gone on in the class, but he went around and to every almost everybody that was in the class just went up and he grabbed their hands and he was just present with them, like looking right into their eyes and energetically present, connecting with them on an energetic, wordless level for like maybe 20 to 30 seconds. And almost without fail, every single person just burst into these beautiful, grateful tears for being seen.
Yeah.
And that is changing me in so many ways today. And when I looked back at what I knew was possible with the kindness of sex, it was that. It was like when you are willing and able to be so present with another body, another being with a body, you know, with sex and outside of sex, and you change their whole world and you don't have to say a thing.
Yeah, there's that. I so get that. And also on the end of the person who's, so there's the giver and the receiver. There's the person, like, say, for example, in Dane's position, like looking into their eyes and being super present. And how much of a gift was it also for him to have those people receive him?
Yeah, that's huge. The receiving piece is so huge. I mean, we have no idea the gift that our receiving is to the giver. You know, it's the simultaneity, we call it the simultaneity of gifting and receiving. Like, there is no separation at that point of who's getting more out of it. You know, we've got this point of view that it's the give and take, where it's like, if I give and you take, then you need to give and then take, and then it's like this tit for tat reality. But when you're willing to go beyond that into the simultaneity of gifting and receiving, where when you're gifted something, you fully receive it and let it explode your world into a billion beautiful possibilities, that gifts the giver something indescribable. Yeah. And so, like, I remember reading this article on the sacred temple prostitutes. And it was so, did you? You might have even sent that to me. I can't remember.
I can't. But anyway, I did read it, but I might have,
Yeah, and I don't know exactly the point of it. I think it was just talking about the fact that there are these, that they exist or they existed. And I read this article and I was like, it was such a beautiful kind of tribute, I think, to these beings. And it was a place where men from war could actually come in and be restored. And I just think sex has been so vilified and so judged and so taken to this place where we can't even use it as what it was intended for. And that's not even, it's like, if we had no point of view about it, what would we choose? Like, would we use our bodies in totality? You know, like, would we, or would we cut off bits of them because those bits are bad and those bits make babies? And, you know, it's like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, when you really start to look at it and pull it out into the objective light of day, it's like, what have we done to ourselves? You know, we've allowed ourselves to be cut up into these bits and pieces, that these parts are okay and these parts aren't okay, and these parts can be used for this and these parts can't be. Who says? And where have we cut off our potency of receiving and of healing and of capacity with choosing to be that separated?
Yeah, where it's like how many lifetimes ago? Like,
crazy.
And what was that like? So, not that we have to like actually know the reason for it or anything or when it even happened, but it's like, wow, there's just this energy around it. It was like so long ago, and like, although time isn't relevant, it's just like, what if we can change all of that? Like, what if we can start to have where we're not judging people's body parts, we're not judging our own body parts, and what if we can be in the space of total receiving, like Dane doing the 20 seconds, like 20 seconds, and it opens somebody's universe, being present with them. What would it be like if we were all present with each other all the time? How much would we change the planet? Yeah.
It's so crazy possible.
It is so crazy possible. I get that too. It's like, and what if we, like everybody listening and everybody listening in the future, what if it starts with us? Like, what if we're the ones who start to choose to be that crazy present all the time with everyone? for me, it's like, in the chat room, it's like goosebumps. My body has goosebumps. I'm like, that's what I would like. That's what I would like on this planet, where it's like, you walk down the street and it's like nonverbal, just like, yay, being, joy of embodiment, like, and, I so get, like, if we were present with each other, like, what would that create for peace on the planet? Like, there's so much that can be created with being present, and that just, it's just so magic. It's just so potent. That 20-second exercise that he created is just so freaking potent that, like, and I ask all of you, like, are you willing to be that for someone? And are you willing to be that for you? Be that 20 seconds for you. Like, what if you look in a mirror and you just get so present with you? And then what if you turn around and you get so present with the person standing beside you, whoever that is, and just be with them? Like, I know my daughter, when I get, like, really present with her, she'll just start crying. And I'm like, cool, what is that? And she's like, I don't know why I'm crying. I'm like, hey, that's cool. But actually it wasn't until you said that I was like, oh, it's the acknowledgement, that's true. There's so much, like, it's like such a gift. And I've had clients who, I'll just sit and I'll just like, wow, hi. Like, hi, how are you? And there is this, like, holy crap, people haven't even acknowledged my existence for 25 years. I've been married and my wife doesn't even look at me. She just yells at me, but you just looked at me. And they're like, holy fuck, so different now that you looked at me. So, wow, what if we could all just see each other for our beings, for how awesome we are? That's where some sexual healing comes in.
Get us started.
That's right. That's what we're talking about. What if it's not about the penetration, right? Like, the copulation's not the number one goal. It's a goal. It's not a target. What if it's not? Like, what if there's something completely else possible?
Yeah.
And so we're going to go to break just because we're a few minutes off a break. And when we come back, we'll just, like, perceive the energy of where we're going and see what else we're going to talk about. That's how we roll.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour, and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
So hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. Tonight we're talking about when I get that feeling I want sexual healing. And I know the title is kind of playful and fun, and this topic can be playful and fun, and there's actually so much intensity around it as well, like where we're unconscious. The like intensity of unconsciousness is really interesting. And I'm wondering, Christel, you were talking about that question, that comes up in Foundation or Level 1, and the first time I heard it, it blew my world open too. I was like, whoa, that? Yeah. And so truth, to everybody out there that's listening, are you sexual healers? Are you a sexual healer? And when we were on break, I was like playing with like the idea of truth is like everyone a sexual healer, and is it just like a question of are we willing to be conscious with it?
Yeah, and I wonder that too. I kind of get. I don't know. I get that we're all really different and we all have really different capacities. The one thing I find is that the seekers of the world tend to be healers of some sort. And that typically if we're a healer in some area, we're typically a healer in all areas. I've noticed. Yeah. And I think over time and space and lifetimes in history, we've segmented ourselves to like sexual healers and herbal healers and earth healers but is there any actual separation? No. Or have we created it?
No, we're so creative.
We're like, let's categorize because I don't want to do that, but I'll do this. This is the right way to be,
That's right. If I put a crystal on my head while I have sex with you, I'm a crystal sexual healer. And that could be crystal, or it could be.
And if I call exactly, if I call myself Crystal, I can skip the rock.
That's right.
Yeah.
Other way.
I don't even know what your question was.
I'm not really sure. I know. People say it's like, when they get on this show, it's like riding a wild stallion. They're like, hold on, you have no idea where it's going. I'm like, okay, neither do I. Where are we going?
Well, I think there's that whole sexual healer piece, like when it first came up, it just, like totally it opened up my eyes. It kind of opened up the energy. And I mean, you remember this from Foundation Level 1, but it was like the piece about it that really struck me when I first discovered or heard it was that, if you're an unacknowledged sexual healer, that most of the time after you've had sex, you feel worse after.
Yeah.
Because you may have even come or orgasmed, or your body may have really enjoyed the experience, but afterwards, like, you feel down or sad or upset or, just like worse. And I can't even tell you how many times I felt worse after sex.
I know for me it was literally until about 2 years ago that I felt like crap every time.
Yeah. And it's because we don't know.
And I would
we
get
have these
mad.
feelings.
Yeah, and I would just get mad at the person, like, fuck you, that wasn't spiritual, and now I'm mad, and I've got to hate you, and I've got to beat you up because you didn't give me this, and look what I did for you. Like, I would go into this, like, and I would become insane. Absolutely freaking insane. And I was like, whoever wants to sleep with me, like, they must be freaking crazy to even choose it, because I like want to hurt them. I'm done. They're smiling, and I'm like, oh, I hurt everybody. But I didn't get that I was taking on all their freaking anger, like all their stuff, all their distraction. Like, I'm like pulling stuff out of their bodies and not even aware of it. And they're smiling, and daisies are coming out of their bums, and I'm like, yay, happy for you. But I'm like miserable. So it was funny. And not so cute. Yeah. And the whole point, I think, of giving us that information in that class was like, hey, did you know your body does this? And I was like, no, I did not know my body did that. Like, I was so unaware of my body's capacities for healing other bodies. And I would say, to be fair, that as of this radio show, I'm still pretty unaware. Like, I've got way more of an awareness, but I really get that there's
so much more awareness that I could have with what's possible with my body. What I do know is that, you know, I can touch somebody on the arm and really literally within minutes change their whole day. And I'm not the only one. But it's like when I started to really see that, like to really acknowledge that my body did that, I'm like, wow, how much greater or exponentialized is that in sex?
Oh, massively.
So much. And so when I stopped, go ahead. I'm just on and on.
I wonder what is I wonder what is it about like copulation? Like what is it about a penis and a vagina or a penis and an anus? Or like what is it about those body parts that all of a sudden it gets exponentialized?
I wonder about that too. I mean, when you look at biology, you know, all of the nerve endings run from the brainstem all the way down through the spine to the tip of the spine. You know, there's so many nerves, like so much of the body's center almost
sensorial.
Yeah. So
it's like the tip, right?
I mean,
it's like it's all there.
So I wish I had more information on that. I wonder what makes it so great. But what I know is that I don't want to feel bad afterwards. You know, I really want to feel awesome. And I also really want to like expand the other person's reality as much as I have the capacity to do so, or be expanded, be my reality, instead of like allowing whatever is going on for them take over who I'm being. It's like, no, what if I could be the dominant presence, the expanded being of possibility with this, and show their body what's actually possible with a body.
Being that invitation,
it's
such
exactly.
being that like presence, like Christel's talking about, like so for everybody there, people have a lot of meaning attached to presence. It's like, does that mean I'm living in the now? And does that mean this? So can we talk a little bit about like what is presence?
I like how you give me the small questions.
I know, I'm really great like that, right? Let's explore. What's presence? I don't know. Let's explore it. I'm curious too. Like, for me, I know I had the point of view that it was like, you know, and then I actually could never get through the book, The Power of Now. I got through like 2 pages and it was like, So there was something about it that wasn't like speaking to me yet. When I heard the word presence, there's something different about it. It's different than The Power of Now. It's different than, the past is your whatever, like the past is history, the future is a mystery, and right now is, a present, so we call it a gift or whatever, right? So it's like that saying, like we've made that, so right now is presence, but what if presence is actually more like total awareness?
I was just going to say that. Thank you for pulling those words out of my head.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
Yeah, and you know what? When I watched Dane do what he was doing in those 20 seconds with those bodies, I was like, that's almost like laser beamed presence, you know?
Yeah.
I do a lot of coaching, so different ways, taking walks with people or on Skype with people. And I have noticed that my level of presence, I've been worried a little bit that my level of presence is different, but when I've been looking at it and really acknowledging what I'm being, is I'm actually being the level of presence that person can receive.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what's another really cool thing about what our capacities with our bodies and things like that is that we don't know we have all these capacities, so it's like sometimes we'll say, well, I'm different with that person than I am with this person. And if you start to ask questions about that and you get aware of that, it's like, well, can that person actually receive any more than that? And usually the answer is no, like their receiving is on a lower scale, but it's like, where was I going with this? Presence can look a bunch of different ways, but presence is exactly what you said. It's just total awareness. It's like awareness of everything, being willing to be aware of all the information, being willing to, if you're facilitating somebody, just really be present with the energy as it shifts and changes, which sounds really airy-fairy. And yet when you start to kind of tune into that, like you do start to notice the ebbs and the flows and the changes and the shifts and the twists and the untwists. And Yeah, that's presence. And so what is presence in sex? What is presence in copulation? Like, what would it be like? This is the question, I am asking and continue to ask, is what would it be like to be completely and totally aware with sex? Like, it's almost like everywhere we decided that presence means we have a significant connection and relationship with this other person, or where presence, becomes this very significant spiritual thing. It's like, we want to let all that go. Because what if presence is just being willing to be aware of everything that is, and being willing to be whatever's required to create what you desire? And I mean, of course, is that vague? Of course it's vague.
Totally vague, and it's so powerful too, right?
It's so powerful because it gives you total choice. It's like if you're willing to be aware of everything, of their judgments, of where they're functioning from, and not make yourself wrong for it, and not judge yourself for it, and not go into this crazy insanity that's actually theirs. What invitation can you be to more space and more play and more joy and more kindness and more nurturing than they've ever been willing to choose before?
That is, how fun would that be? So
I know.
I'm like, I like that.
We're going to have to cut this radio show short.
Wow. When we come back from break, how much fun would it be to play with some tools that we can, share with the audience, and like some tools so that they can like have more awareness. If they are saying yes to the "Are you a sexual healer?" question, like what kind of can we play with so they can have some tools while they, whether they're choosing copulation, or even like what if we can have, if we are sexual healers, and what if we can bring that healing to our bodies, whether it is like through masturbation or just receiving our own bodies. So how much fun can we have exploring and creating tools when we come back from break? We're just going to bend stuff on the spot.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour, and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK. Or Canada, 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. My guest host. Well, isn't that interesting? My co-host, guest host. There you go, Christel. There's your new title.
I like it.
Christel Crawford. There you go. And we're talking about sexual healing. So the title of the show is When I Get That Feeling, I Want Sexual Healing. And before we went to break, we're just kind of looking at, can we explore some tips and tools that we can share with the audience that might be a contribution to them. And keep in mind, audience, like these are just like some ideas that we have. And please, like if you have awarenesses that are different than ours, play with them. Like we're not giving you the end all be all here. So these are just like ideas we have. So any ideas come up for you that you get would be a contribution for more consciousness, more awareness, like step into the capacity more?
Yeah, well, I think the first one is that's huge is like, who does this belong to? Yeah. It's like one of the first basic access tools, but like when you look at the area of sex and relationship, I mean, the first place most people go is into the other person's universe to try to fix it. It's like, I can't tell you how many sessions I've had where I'm like, are you in your universe or theirs? And like 9 times out of 10, they're in the other person's universe. Because as healers, like as people that care, as people that heal, we want things to make sense. We want to understand them and we want to make it better. So it doesn't matter if we're in bed or out of bed at that point. It's like that sort of remains our modus operandi. You know, it's like that's just kind of where we come from. So to that end, we're always seeking to understand insanity and fix it. So the thing to get is that 1, you are a healer, and 2, you can't. You can't.
Not your job.
You can't do it. First of all, you can't understand insanity, and you can't make it better. Why, you ask? Why can't I? I know that if I try hard enough, if I love him hard enough, if I explain myself enough, if I yell at the top of my lungs, or if I cry enough, this person will change. And the fact is that that's just not true. That people choose what they choose for whatever reasons they choose it, and they choose it because it works for them. And that's as simple as that. So one of the things that started getting me out of a lot of the insanity of my healing nature and into more of the capacity with it was, is this even mine? Is this heaviness I'm feeling? Is this sadness I'm feeling? Is this anger I'm feeling? Is it even mine? And if I got a no, returning it to sender with consciousness attached. And I'll tell you, the second...
so dynamic.
So huge. It's like huge because 99.9999999% of everything you think, feel, or emote isn't yours. And I can't tell you how many times I forget about that, and I get up in front of a microphone after 2 years of going to 20 classes, and I still ask, well, I've got this, is it yours? No. Damn. I'm just forgetting because it feels real. It's in your body. You feel it in your body. Whatever it is, it can be your partner's had a hard day at the office, or it can be, you're in bed and there's some wonky stuff going on and you just know there's quote unquote something wrong. Who does it belong to starts to really free you to be the space of you. Because the space of us, it doesn't matter what our capacities are with healing, the space of us is lightness and space and joy and ease. And so if you're feeling or perceiving or sensing anything but that, it's not you.
Everybody, it's not you unless it's ease, space, and joy. This is an awareness. Please pay attention to this awareness. So, when you're going into the funky zone, if you're going, oh my God, if you're going into judgment, if you're going into, oh, that must have really been terrible, like, please ask that question and ask it frequently. My daughter is 7.5, and she now, like, she'll, sometimes come home with a thought, and I'm like, who does it belong to? And she's like, oh, damn it. I'm like, I know, right? What is this? Damn it. I'm like, it's awareness, right? Oh, cool. So, like, this is not because you're an adult you pick this up. It's not because you're a baby that you pick it up. You chose embodiment. You're going to pick it up.
And therefore you pick it up.
There you go.
Why that's so funny. The end. That's our book.
You chose embodiment. Therefore. It'll be a bestseller. So pre-order now before we've even written it, because it's coming.
They're going to sell out fast, people.
That's right. We only have 5 million copies available. Go on. www.
Oh, gosh.
So I love that. Who does it belong to? That one is so great. So,
that's probably that's a huge one, and I think too going hand in hand. Oh gosh, hand in hand with that is interesting point of view. I have this point of view. I mean, the thing that for me that trapped me and got me caught up in all kinds of internal drama and pain was the judgment of me, and I judged me for everything. I judged me for not doing relationship right. I judged me for not being good enough in bed. I judged my body while being naked. I judged my body while being clothed. I judged me as a wife. I judged me as a lover. Seriously, it didn't matter what I did. I judged me.
You were wrong.
And
because you were just
I was
plain
wrong. I was wrong because I chose embodiment. Therefore,
That's why.
Wrong.
Right there. You chose it. It's like, wow. Like, it's funny because it's so freaking true that we create that. It's like, I must be wrong. Like, what was I thinking? I chose embodiment. I chose these parents. I chose this life. I chose this body. Oh my God, I must be retarded for choosing this. Yeah. I'm not retarded in that, it's like I'm slow. So, and sometimes it's like, how slow am I that I chose this? So, like, if we can, like, interesting point of view, all of that. Like, it all is all such an interesting point of view that, and it's funny to me because I know you, Christel, and I felt you up. And I'm like, damn, that's a nice body. Like, the first time I met you, for everybody listening, here's a little secret about me and Christel. The first time I met her, I felt her up in a bar. That's right. Do you remember that? I walked up to you at a 2-3. You were like, drinking. It was in Vancouver, and I walked up to you. It was like not Vancouver, but the one before. And I was like, damn, you got nice boobs. And you're like, thanks. I'm like, can I touch them? And you're like, yeah. I was like, we got a lot of attention that night. It was really funny. It was like, that's how I met you. In case you didn't remember. I did. I was like, woo, I just grabbed boobies.
We're very serious folk.
Yes, definitely serious. So one of the things too, like, that I've become more aware of around copulation and it's cool. Like, you've created this class, Kindness of Sex, and one of my very favorite questions to ask bodies is, what kindness can I be to you? And
that's so great.
And like, yeah, and the bodies are like, oh yay, you'll be kindness to me. Like, it's like, wow, and it's such a different possibility that shows up, for body, and it can be the same body over and over again, and it'll still be like, oh, today's kindness is touch my bum. Tomorrow's kindness is stroke my penis. Like, it can be different every day. So
I remember I had
so sweet.
It's such a great. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. That was such a great question, and I remember having this lover once that I was doing oral sex and being me, and I just love bodies. I love what's possible with all of that, and he commented. He was one of the only people that actually really noticed the space I was being, and he said, "You're so kind." And I've never actually had somebody comment on that while receiving oral sex before. Like, they've never actually merged, where somebody actually saw what I was being.
That's so beautiful.
It was so amazing. And it didn't change his level of erection or, and he didn't need sex to be dirty. He was actually willing to receive kindness to his body.
Wow.
And that really shifted something for me. I already knew I was being it, but to have that acknowledged and seen was like, oh, yeah, I am being that. And that is who I am. Like, that's just who I am with everything. And I wanted to say I just go there, but I just am that, And that's what I know is possible with everybody. I guess that's what I know is possible to choose. Because at the end of the day, it is a choice. It's like it's a choice to get out of judgment of you. It's a choice to choose different kinds of partners. It's a choice to change what you're choosing with sex. It's all just a choice. And I think this is one area where a lot of us feel like we have no choice. It's almost like we're driven by our needs, or driven by our other people's desires for us, driven by our hormones, driven by our inexplicable being drawn to assholes. You know what I mean? It's like we feel like we have no choice. But it's like when you're willing to start using these tools, which start to get you out of everyone else's insanity, that's when you have the space to look at, okay, what do I desire to create? Like what energies could I invite into my world greater? How much more kindness can I invite? How much more kindness can I be? How much more kindness can I demand that I be and therefore receive?
And I even wonder, like, do people even know that that's a possibility to invite kindness into their world? Like, how much more? It's like, wow, did you even know you could invite it in? Because it's like, there's so much unkindness and abuse. It's just like it's rampant. And even sometimes when we're like, intending to be very kind, like we turn out to be superior assholes. Right? Yeah. And like, but I really want to help you, but I'm being a superior asshole. So like, where is the kindness? And do we actually, like, everybody listening, do you get that you can invite kindness into your world, into your sex life, like into your business, into all of it? Like, what if there's kindness as an element of everything? It's like possible. It's so possible. And, it doesn't, I think there's points of view about, like, if you invite more kindness and nurturing and gentleness, you're eliminating fun, And it's like everything is so the opposite of what it appears to be, because the more kindness and gentleness and nurturing I invite into my space, the more fun I have. Like if you look at, you can even just extrapolate this out into children playing. And it's like, when kids are play fighting or being mean to each other or playing with being mean, they're not actually having as much fun. They're actually have so much more joy when they're just being kind and gentle and, like, caring about each other and in their play. That's actually where the fun is. And it's somewhere we twisted. Yeah. We did twist it. Keep going.
We did.
It's
well, this summer we've twisted fun with judgment. It's almost like it can't be stimulating without judgment. And there are certain people that can't get off or get stimulated without judgment. Cool. Does your body want to play with those people? If you've got a little kid in the playground who's like has to be mean in order to have fun, he ends up being alone. Whereas you've got these little kids that are willing to include each other and be gentle and be kind and, and play with everybody in mind, and they end up having the group of kids around them. And so what if you were willing to be as different as you are? I get that it's different. I get that kindness of sex is really different. And I just started looking at that like, okay, cool. Like, I'm willing to be that different. I'm willing to actually be judged for, because what are the judgments that would come out around that? Being that different. Yeah. Like, you're soft, you're not dirty enough, you're blah, blah. I can't even really think of a lot of them. But it's like, first of all, I don't invite those kind of people into my world anymore. And second of all, okay, because I would rather create a planet where all of us could kindly and gently and with a lot of joy contribute to each other's bodies with no point of view of whether it was wrong or right than any other planet.
I'm with you. Woo! That's a fun planet to be on. Kindness everywhere. I can even see like how, it does start, like you're talking about children playing. There's something that starts like there's this people buy into competition right off, like, you go to kindergarten and there's competition and there's cliques. Like this stuff starts like we created this. Yep. Are we willing to change it? Like we created this insanity of competition and unkindness, judgment. We created all of it. So if we created it all, what if we can uncreate
it and create something else?
Yeah, step it up and uncreate all of that. And that's like making the demand of all of ourselves, like making the demand every day to be the kindness we truly be, to be who we truly be.
Absolutely. And, you said, and uncreated. Yeah, let's uncreate it. And, add to that, just creating in a totally different direction. Like, okay, cool. We tried this whole porn judgment thing for however many years. What if we just turn around and go this direction? And what if you could do that in your own life? Even if you're married and you're in a relationship and you're not, it's not working for you. What if you just acknowledged, hey, this isn't working for me. I'm going to try something totally different. I'm going to use really weird tools to get me out of my own shit so I can actually see clear enough to make a different choice. Or I'm going to, just be different. This is where it's anywhere you're feeling like you have no choice, you still have a choice. I just, for anybody who's listening now or in the future, it's even if you feel like you have no choice, you do. And just keep using the tools to get yourself to the space where you can actually get that you have a choice and you can choose something different. Even using the tools is a choice. And, I remember when I first came to Access, that was huge for me. It was I remember this choice thing just pissed me off because I had spent 38 years feeling like I had no choice. I was at the effect of my own shit. I was at the effect of my own urges to have affairs. I was at the effect of my own emotions. I was at the, and really I was, because I didn't have any tools that helped me do otherwise or be different. And so when I remember watching the bars video on day one, and, we're 2 hours into the first class of a 5-day class, and we watched this bars video with Dane and Gary, and at the end of the bars video, Dane says, well, you have a different possibility, just choose. And I was seriously, I think my middle finger went up.
Yeah. I was really?
Because I was
what the hell do you
that's
mean?
Great.
I'm so mad.
Thank you. Thank you for the help.
Yeah. That's really useful, buddy. And
Right.
Yeah, I know I went into a lot of judgment.
Oh, God. I was so frustrated.
And I couldn't stand Dane for the first year of Access. I couldn't stand him. I was yeah, you and your fucking happy, smiley shit. I was so annoyed by him. And then it actually took one class where he put his hand on my back, and I was so aware that he was being this space of kindness with me that I was absolutely refusing. That I was oh, whoa, what am I refusing here? That's interesting. I just went, ugh, what was that? And it took actually to have a hug later that I was willing to receive that. Then that was complete. I was oh, that's interesting. It was very interesting how everything in my world shifted after that. But to acknowledge where you're refusing receiving, acknowledgement's huge too. Acknowledging that you're a sexual healer and acknowledging what you're refusing receiving, or even refusing gifting. Could be fun to play with. And I'll always be in the question, how fun could it be to just always be in the question when you're with a lover, when you're playing with a body in any way, if you're being a sexual healer, what if you're always in the question of what this body can receive, what it requires, what it desires, what, all of that, because it's so different every time.
It is so different. And one more thing on the sexual healer, it's just because you have a capacity doesn't mean you use it every time. It's I only am able to gift to other bodies what they're able to receive. And anything beyond that is an unkindness.
It is, actually. And
it catapults that other person into a space that they weren't ready to choose and they didn't want to choose, And really, anytime you over-deliver like that, it doesn't matter if it's physically, non-verbally, or verbally, it comes back with, they always say it comes back with daggers attached. So yes, do I have a capacity as a sexual healer? Yes. Do you? Yes. Do I always use it? No, I don't always use it. It's a capacity that I have that if somebody can receive it, I can use. It's at my, it's at my fingertips. At any moment, I have this capacity with bodies. Cool. What
and
would
when you
it take
acknowledge
to...
it, there's choice in it, right? Where before it's an automatic response where you're just healing the body all the time. Yeah.
Yep.
So we have 25 seconds to end. You have a class coming up in Vancouver. Can you let people know about that?
Yeah, well, it's a 5 Days of Change class, and it's the core classes of Access. And you can go to 5daysofchange.weebly.com for more info on me and my class. Thank you so much for having me, Milica.
Thanks for coming on and exploring crazy, interesting questions with me today. Where were you going to go? Don't know. And look forward to having all of you guys listen again next week.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on a2zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.